Good morning.
Good morning.
Are we live?
We're live.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm just going to invite you to silence your cell phones, but then also to turn off any Wi-Fi that you may have on your phones, because we're live streaming our talks this morning on Facebook, and our bandwidth is finite within the infinite mind of God, and so we'd like to save as much bandwidth as possible. So, how to create a spiritual chain reaction. Now, I believe that everything begins in spirit, but that is not where it ends. So that is what we're going to be talking about this morning. We are individualized and unique expressions of the one, but we are not separate from one another. We are connected, intrinsically connected by that golden thread of source that runs through us. Each part of the one life, each part of that one energy that is life itself. As individual parts of humanity, we have influence on the people around us. And whether we like it or not, the people around us have influence on us. We impact one another. And sometimes that impact is soft like a butterfly's wing, and other times it's crushing. That's the truth. So it becomes exceedingly important that we are really well grounded in what we know and believe, so that as those things outside of us attempt to impact us, we impact them instead. In Living the Science of Mind, Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote, "Did you ever notice the contagion of a happy person? One who is enthusiastic, one who has enthusiastic joy in living. His or her spirit permeates those around her, and the contagion of her personality influences her environment to such an extent that it finally changes." And I changed all that to her because I've got a story about a woman. I am a member of the County Center Rotary, and proudly so. Those people do really great work. But I have to tell you that when I was first approached about becoming a Rotarian, I was reluctant. Now, I know some really great people who are Rotarians. The Layman's happen to be my example of that. However, my general impression of Rotarians is middle-aged, stodgy white men. I am none of those things. Well, I'm middle-aged, but I am not stodgy. No one can wear wings like this and be stodgy. So I was reluctant to join this organization because I thought, how will they take me? And I've heard some stories of years gone by where I would have been very well positioned in my thought to think that. However, I agreed to check out some meetings. And I went, and there was this woman there who I would like to say is a lot like me. The person is up front talking, and she's heckling them. And I'm like, that's just like me. I like her. She's funny. And then I found other people there who, this group of Rotarians, they really love the friendly jab. The men inspire one another to do even greater things by shaming them for the things they haven't done yet. But it's all done in this good fun, right? And so I thought, okay, I could be part of this. Here's another example of a woman whose energy in a group makes it so that you would want to be there. My mother, and I've told this before, loved Christmas. She oozed Christmas. When you said Christmas, her eyes twinkled. I don't know if you've ever seen someone's eyes actually twinkle. My mother's eyes twinkled. And so therefore, everyone in the house twinkled at Christmas time. Not just the trees and the lights. We all twinkled. She took her infectious love of that holiday and infused our entire family experience with that love. Here's another example. How many of you, when you walk into this center, feel that energy of love? It's palpable. I still remember the very first day I walked in. I remember the first time I walked in this building. I was searching for a place that would love me because I had come from a place that could not. I came from a place that would not. And so I was not looking for science of mind. I was not looking for new thought. I just wanted to be loved. And I found science of mind and new thought, and I'm loved. This place is a contagion of love. We're like the love virus. We have an STD. We have a socially transmitted disease, the disease of love. You will not forget that example, will you? You might be uncomfortable with it, but you will not forget it. Pardon?
We're love bugs.
We are love bugs. This place is love. This place is community. This place makes us and keeps us responsible to and for one another. So that as one person is in need, we all get to respond to that. And that's what this place organically does. I can have a vision as the minister that we create that, but until every single person in the room buys into that, I'm sitting alone. I have found, Reverend Kathleen warned me, that as a minister, the congregation would never rise above the consciousness of the minister. It's kind of the law. And it's really, really intimidating to think that I am somehow setting the ceiling on our consciousness. And so what I would ask of you in order to support me is that you would know for me that I am always living my life from the moments of my highest resolve. And I will know that for you. So that as we go through our day, we are always rising to that next higher level of consciousness. See, I can lead, but I can't lead unless you support. We need each other. A leader by himself is very bored. And a leader with a lot of a congregation is never bored. Not ever. See, we need to live our lives in such a way that people are wondering, what does he know? What is going on in his head that he can be behaving like that, considering what's going on in the world around him? Do not let them disturb your peace. Let your peace disturb them. The best marketing tool that we have as believers in religious science and the science of mind and the philosophy that we teach is living our lives in such a way that people want to know more about what makes us work. Now, I will tell you that you are a walking advertisement for science of mind. You might be advertising that it is an empowering, uplifting, creative philosophy. Or you might not, as the case may be. I would encourage you to live your life to such a volume that people cannot help but hear your message. And people will hear what you do way before they hear what you say. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
There is only one life in us, and we have an opportunity to let the infectious love of God that's in us create a pandemic of love around the world. Be contagious. Be courageous. In How to Change Your Life, Dr. Holmes writes, more than this, however, you need to remember that this joy, satisfaction, and sense of oneness must be translated into action in your relations with others. It's a really polite way to say, put your money where your mouth is. Thoughts are energy, and energy is carried on our words. And our thoughts and words create deeds, which allows us to influence the world around us. But it is not enough to just think good thoughts. It is not enough to just think happy thoughts. It starts there, because if you start anywhere else, you're off course. But if you start in that space and then move forward into whatever action you are called into, and it's going to be different for every single one of us, then we are truly living what we believe. Actions speak louder than words. Action fuels our thoughts with energy. If you want to create a spiritual chain reaction, you have to be actively spiritual and spiritually active. It has to go together. If you take a quick look around you in the world, you will see dozens of examples of where the world could benefit from a spiritual chain reaction. It's everywhere. There is no shortage of opportunities for us to be a beneficial force on the planet. Anywhere you look, you can improve upon the situation. Anywhere. But what are we doing to make that happen? See, Dr. Holmes writes in The Science of Mind that we have a proclivity as these intellectual people to spend all of our time studying and not enough time doing. Now, I'm all about the human being. I get it. That's where I start my day. But from being, I carry into doing. One of my favorite passages from the book of James, which is in the Christian Bible, says, "What does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Depart in peace, be warm and well fed,' who profits? Thus, also, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead." So let me just put that in some rubber meets the roads terminology. What good does it do if one claims to be enlightened, but does nothing that proves their enlightenment? Can that enlightenment bring peace to them if they're doing nothing in a world full of angst? If you see someone in need, naked and hungry, and you say, "God bless you," but you don't feed them or give them a coat, what good does it do? Consciousness by itself, unaccompanied by actions, is useless. Useless. Just useless. I use my time on Facebook very judiciously because it can be really overwhelming, but I happened to read something this morning that really hit my heart. And I'm going to paraphrase. Like many Americans, I am fatigued. More specific, I'm fatigued about arguing. I haven't run out of good points to make. I haven't run out of evidence for my position. But there's a stumbling block that I keep running into every time I try to reach across the proverbial aisle and have that difficult conversation with someone. All I want to explain is, and all I don't know how to explain is, why we should be kind to everyone. If it just all came down to kindness, what would kindness do with the children? In our meeting tomorrow, we're hoping to explore what we can do as a community. And what we can do might look like taking in one of those kids, or 2 of those kids, or 5 or 10. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know that we have to do something. We cannot simply pray and say, okay, it's all good. God is my errand boy. He'll take care of it. Because God is not our errand boy. God is accounting on us. God can do for us what it can do through us. So what are you willing to do? Why should we care about other people? Because they're us. Back from my early raising, if not for the grace of God, there go I. There's something to do, folks. And we need to do it because we are connected to it. If you think that you're not connected to a child who's separated from their family, you're wrong. If you think that you're not connected to somebody who is suffering from the earthquakes, you're wrong. If you think that you're not connected to the people who are suffering from the volcanoes in Hawaii, you're wrong. We are connected to all of them. We're connected to every person through that golden thread of spirit that is saying, we're all one. What happens to me happens to you, and what happens to you happens to me. I used this a few weeks ago, the expression, not my circus, not my monkeys. It is your circus. They are your monkeys. They are our responsibility as humans to take care of the entire planet, the entire race. And I apologize if this is too strong and too...
Okay.
You know what? No, I don't apologize. I don't. We are called to action. We cannot realize the fullness of life until we live in the source of life, and the source of life is spiritual. This brings us back to the beginning, the source of all. All of that makes us connected. The spiritual chain reaction began with source. It continues with you. Source is continually calling forth more and more of life from you. As it calls love into you, it's going to get love from you. As it calls kindness into you, you're going to be more kind by responding in kind. We begin from that place in all of our thoughts and our words, and we continue with it with our deeds. There's plenty of talking to be done, and then there is a lot of work to be done after that. It is very clear that source is the beginning of everything, and therefore we should begin everything with source, going within. But we can't spend all of our time so heavenly minded that we're of no earthly use. We have to be a beneficial presence, and we have to do more than just think about doing it. I would invite you to think about and pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth, recognizing that the words that are coming out of your mouth are sending energy out into the world. And just be mindful that what energy you're sending out is either beneficial or not. And let those words be beneficial. And then bring those words into action. Allow yourself to be a tool in the hand of God. Allow yourself to be part of the solution, because if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. Thank you. Live your life in such a way that people will want to know what's different about you. Live your life in such a way that people are like, I want some of what he's got. I invite you to join me in starting a spiritual chain reaction. Let your thoughts inform your words. Let your words inform your deeds. And let your deeds be a blessing to the world. Let's pray. Recognizing the Spirit as the source of all, in all, through all, as all. I know that it is what is moving in me. It is what is moving in this group of people here. It is what is moving in all of creation. And so I call that to action. I call that to responsibility. I call that to an opportunity to create an effective, positive change in the world. All beginning with consciousness, ending in action. So that as that action perpetuates the next level of consciousness, we are rising and rising instead of in a downward spiral. It is my prayer that as each one of us embrace and embody the divine that we are, that we begin to bring that divine to a world that is so desperately in need of it. Let us be the blessing to the world. Let our actions bless the planet. And let our consciousness, where it all begins, be pure and clear. And so it is. So it is.